You're watching the Tesla Life, live with your host, Mark Coughlin!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 381. Here we are on the 16th of October, 2024. And man, have we got a show for you tonight. This is probably going to be one of my favorite shows because we have had the ability to do the live simulcast of the 1010 event, which was just 6 days ago. But we've had now about 6 days to think about what we saw, to look at additional information, to source some additional articles and photos of the event, and to piece together some of the things that we didn't know. So this is what we're going to talk about today, mainly, is what actually happened at the event, some of the details that we found after the fact, and just some general discussion about how we think it went and where we think it's going. So with me, as always, we have Ms. Case Green joining us from the Mid-Atlantic. How are you today, sir?
Doing pretty well. It was a cool, rainy day.
Yep, fall is in the air for sure. And we can tell that because our other Kohat.
The toque is back, yes.
It's cold on the West Coast. Mr. Patrick Connor with us. How are you today, sir?
Hello, I am good. I just got a notification on my phone that says my 12-volt battery needs to be replaced. Couple tabs later, boom, scheduled mobile service tomorrow. I don't even have to drive anywhere. This is so cool.
I got a notice in the car that my key fob battery was low, and then when I got back, it wasn't. And same for when I serviced and tested it. But I also called for mobile service to get the battery reassociated with the car or the BMS, don't know which, and for them to plug back in the Falcon sensor on the baby's door, because that's one of the more important sensors.
Absolutely. I'm surprised the door will even operate if that sensor's not connected.
I'm also glad that it does, but yeah, absolutely. Because right now it only has the pinch sensor and then the force meter. So if it is smushing somebody, then it'll go back. But with the, I guess maybe what it does is it rolls back to the 2017 models. Because before mine, it had that, and if there was too much force, it would go. But on mine, it doesn't even try if there's something in the way. Well,
right. Okay, I see. So it's not like it's unsafe. It's just now it actually has to bump you before. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Patrick, I'm curious, how long have you had the 12-volt battery installed?
That's a good question. You're on your second or third?
It would be my second. I'm pretty sure. I was actually just looking at the history, and it's not real clear what was done with each time that it's been in. So I did go and get the FSD computer upgraded at one point because that was on the Model 3. We had FSD, so that upgrade was free, and so we did that. And there's been some other little minor things. So I'm not sure if it's my second or third, but yes, this is a 2018 Model 3. So even if it is the third battery, that's not all that bad.
I'm still on the first battery.
Wow.
I don't know how in Canada, doesn't cold kill batteries?
I don't know. It's Patrick, do you keep your vehicle in the garage most times when it's not being operated? Okay.
Yes,
I do as well.
And we mostly drive the Y, so I have it down to 50% state of charge, so it's not getting a lot of mileage, and I don't know.
That's interesting.
You've just got a good battery in yours, Mark. You lucked out.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the record.
Into the bell curve. Yeah. Yeah, your car is slightly older than mine, too.
Yeah. And it didn't get the retrofit, so we know they didn't sneakily do it on you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get into the news for today. And again, we're going to talk a lot about that event that happened recently, the 1010 event. And let's just get into it. What do you? I'll let you guys start. Let's start with the CyberCab thoughts. What did you see? What did you not see? What have you not understood? What do you understand?
I think we should share our group theory before anybody says that they came up with it before we did.
The Trojan horse?
Yeah, the Trojan horse. The way for them to develop this thing in public and save face should the permits not all come through, they'll have distributed basically for overnight delivery like iPhones or something. The next Model Next, and it'll need adjustable pedals and steering wheel detachable, especially if they go with the fixed seating position like they did on the prototype, because you'll be a little far from the traditional pedal location. But what we had stated we suspect might be a possibility is that they ship all these things with pedals and steering wheels, and then they say, "Oh, these are just for the lot porters and the truck transports, so they can get these things where they need to go without us having to program everything in," because that's not a normal scenario for what you'll need it to do as a robotaxi. And then, should the permits not go through or anything not happen the way they expect, they can just leave those things in there, and then they've got Model Next. But if it does come through in California and Texas, they said, take those out. Yeah, they were just exactly like we said. They were just to move the vehicles around, and now we've got a robotaxi permit. And then all the other fleet that's just pre-positioned in all the other states, you can use that as pressure to like, look, we're already ready to go. It's your turn now, isn't it? And then as they reach saturation with what they want to have in the fleet for robotaxi, then they'll say, oh yeah, by the way, this is also Model Next, and then release them again.
If they do it that way, where they just take the existing CyberCab and add pedals and a steering wheel, then it's still just a two-seater. And the market for two-seaters is pretty small. So it seems like they'd want to at least put in a back seat and maybe make a couple changes to the seats as well.
But like the Honda CRX, the Mazda Miata, yes, the CRX sometimes had a back seat depending on which one you got, but or most of the time it had a back seat depending on which one you got. That smaller, more nimble car is something that's missing in the market, and especially as all the legacies have gone to truck only unless it's a sports car.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be difficult to do. Again, I think this is a bit of a long shot that we've called out here. I think it would be a tremendous move if Tesla was able to pull it off. But again, not sure if there's really enough for them to do this in secret. I think it would be tough.
It may not be the exact car. Like we may end up seeing them make the Model Next Mule, since they are so close, as Franz had said, and Elon's like, I don't need that, don't want that. But they are so close, they can look just like a robotaxi, and we won't know. And then all of a sudden, there's this new one that's got the adjustable seat, and it's got the back seat, and the trunk's a little bit smaller, and it's got a frunk. Or who knows how this will play out? But this gives them cover, allows them to not Osborne themselves, and it allowed them to do this event without any of the details that we wanted to see, that we saw with the Semi and the Cybertruck, that allowed them to get themselves in hot water when the time finally came, and it wasn't exactly what they said. That the folks got a little disappointed, and now it's like, it looks just like the other one. How could you possibly be mad at this? And here's the specs. They're great. Because if they had done the Cybertruck and Semi Mark 0, Mark 1, whatever that prototype that Pepsi has, and just said this is what it is, people have been just, wow, it's amazing. But versus like, oh, it's almost good enough.
Yeah, Tesla certainly had a problem with hitting those time frames that they've laid out in a number of cases of new vehicles. But it would be, like you said, it's something that they could work on quietly. They could get to the point where they're working on autonomy. And if they did have the ability to switch some of them over to manual with adding a few components or something along that line that would allow them to become manual drive vehicles, I think that would be a huge win, because I'm seeing people now in comments and on X and other places that are saying, I'd buy that car tomorrow.
Yeah.
I need a cheap hatchback. 2 seats is fine. I would take that. I would take and run with that. Even with the as long as they sell me an adapter that I can charge with inductive charging, I buy it tomorrow. And
Impact controls.
and I see that as something that could happen. But I don't think there's going to be a number of changes to the actual vehicle, because then that kind of negates being able just to run with what you got to hopefully get over the regulatory hurdles. And then if the regulatory hurdles stop you in some places, then you turn on the sales of manual vehicles by just adding a few control boxes to the vehicle and and some pedals and a steering wheel to allow it to do that. But
Cybertruck set them off on the path with the by wire steering,
right? But we don't know if that type of steering is in this car.
Oh no, it's not. But it makes this possible, because
Yes.
If this thing was designed not to have controls, you can't add them back in the traditional way, because you'd have to put a shaft and the airbag and all this in that. Versus with Cybertruck, it's literally just a more robust version of what you do on your Xbox, PlayStation, or computer.
Yeah.
And this allows that. The only thing that's new to them at this point is by-wire braking, and they kind of have that with the one-pedal driving and stop mode on 3 and newer. But the reason they didn't even try it before was with the blended braking. They didn't like the way it felt, so they didn't do it.
Yeah,
it's too complex.
So that's a thing that could happen. I don't know if it will, but I think it would be quite a move if Tesla could actually do it in that way, where they don't have to Osborne themselves and say, hey, we got a cheaper vehicle coming, and then all of a sudden their Model 3 sales tank because everyone's waiting. But and also say, hey, we're working on autonomy. This is where we're going. This is where the future is. And then, like, if the regulatory hurdle is too high and they can't clear it in a number of states or a number of areas, then they could introduce this cheaper vehicle that with a few extra boxes would allow people to manually drive them. So we'll see. But getting back to the vehicle itself, I wanted to touch upon some stuff. We when we first saw that yellow duct tape vehicle that was driving
the ugly
around,
duckling, we'll call it.
Yeah, the ugly duct tape vehicle. We noticed that the wheels looked different sizes, and at the event, the wheels still looked a little bit different sized.
Yeah, they did. That was surprising.
And we did find out that indeed the wheels are different sized. They're 21 inches on the back, and 18s or 19s on the front. So bizarre, though. Why would that be the case?
Because it looks cool.
Looks cool.
This is a demo event. I don't think that will go into production that way. If this is supposed to be their affordable vehicle, that's going to change.
The reason they do it on the Model X is for weight carrying and weight distribution properties, but it's the only one other than the Model S Plus. So you got the Model the 85 Plus, the P85, the P85 Plus, the P85D Plus, and the P90D Plus, and that was the reason that the X had it and the S had it, because it was more performant. Yes, baby. Where did you get those stickers? You're not supposed to have stickers on your own.
So don't you typically get more range with a smaller wheel tire combo?
Yep. That's why the front tire X are tiny.
And if they want to have this be a smaller battery pack, you want to optimize for range. You're not optimizing this for performance. So I'm pretty sure that the production version, when we see it, is going to be the same all around, square wheels as they call it, and 18 or 19, not 21.
Another thing of interest is that in these wheels, we've got this aero cover in the middle, wheel cover, but we also have a gold paint painting the sidewalls right over these Continental tires.
White walls making a comeback.
Exactly. White walls with a touch of gold. So again, this was just obviously an aesthetic, being able to see that the wheel looks more solid, more uniformed. The entire body was this gold color, and they tried to match this sidewall with that gold color, giving it the appearance that there was no a very small strip of rubber from the side.
It also gets you an extra 3-inch of wheel. So instead of 19s or 18s and 21s, you've got 24s and
yeah. So it was kind of interesting that they chose that aesthetic for the vehicle. So we could definitely see that there was this change in vehicle wheel size. It was noticeable. We were commenting on it through the presentation.
Oh yes. They also saw one there with no covers, and it had just like we see with all the other newer cars, where they had some cool spokes behind it, but they had red brake calipers, even though this is not intended to be a performance car. At least the cab part is not.
Right.
The Model Next, maybe.
Yeah, so if they did want to make this a drivable production vehicle, you're going to have a back window to see through. But again, you said you want to move off that topic, so I won't drag you back. Sorry, Mark. The color, I couldn't. I thought it was a silverish color.
It did look that way with the cameras, but gold.
And just the lighting from the event, I couldn't. It's hard to get the right white balance to know where to. This isn't quite the internet dress phenomenon of black and blue or gold and white.
Only they were at a place with lots of camera operators and colorists and experts in getting color through a screen.
So the gold is interesting. I wonder, is it a wrap? Do you think?
Some folks said it was wrap, other folks said it's paint. But they did say it's composite, so it's plastic versus stainless.
So if it's plastic, then you could embed the color into the plastic.
Yes,
the way Saturn used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that becomes a question of I know Dr. Know-It-All actually brought a magnet with him, and he tried to get it stuck to the vehicle when he was getting in and out of it, and of course it didn't stick. So it is definitely some sort of a composite or plastic. It's not.
Aluminum's not magnetic either, right? So
that's
there are
true.
some, but
that's true.
And most
I think you're right, but I just don't want to assume that means it's not metal at all.
So it's kind of interesting that again, this may be for cost. Getting a vehicle that's not, even though you're calling it the CyberCab, it's not based on the Cybertruck system with an exoskeleton. Although that would be certainly great for dings and punches of the vehicle when it's in use. But it was probably weight that sunk that idea. They wanted a smaller battery because, of course, it's a smaller car. It's a 2-door. It's going to hold less people. And they probably were looking for any kind of weight savings that they could in order to prolong the range of the vehicle.
Yeah,
right. Plus, and there certainly are cyber styling cues with the light bar across the front and around the back. And then, it's if it did have a steering wheel, it'd be steer by wire to like the Cybertruck. And I wonder if it's a 40-volt system. They were trying to push the entire industry to go that way. So it makes sense that their next vehicle would be that. And then the other one is the ether loop. I'm sure that they've done that, and maybe this is probably even a newer version of that because you don't want to have kilometers of wiring. It adds weight, it adds cost. It's if you can find better ways to communicate higher speeds and multiplex stuff, then that's going to save you time and money and production time, and it's all for the good.
It would be a really odd decision not to make it 48 volts and ether loop. One, like Patrick said, for the cost savings. Two, unless this thing started production and engineering before Cybertruck did, you get the cost savings by going to common parts, and you get to push the industry forward by making the window motors and everything else 48 volts, the horn, as well as we saw already with the with them removing the charge port that gets rid of a large flag of metal, either copper or aluminum, from all the way to the battery pack or the penthouse, all the way up to the back of the car or the front if they want to go Nissan Leaf. But with the inductive charger, the cable run only has to be enough to get that wiring off of the batteries. That way it doesn't interfere with the loops, the coils.
Yeah, and speaking of windows, as you did earlier, Casey, you'll notice that the windows are now inside a frame.
That's true. It's framed doors for the first time.
That's right. First time ever. So
the Model X has rear frame doors.
Okay, but definitely the front frame doors are
Yes, exactly. First time ever.
the only frame doors on this car.
Yeah.
But it's something that they moved to for whatever reason, and of course the hinging, the hinging on this car, the butterfly hinge, allows people more access to I guess an easier entry and exit from the vehicle.
Yeah.
Compared to the Falcon Wing doors, and of course the problems that have come with the Falcon Wing doors when it comes to dialing them in over a period of time. Maybe Tesla determined that, you know what, this is a much simpler design. It gives us more access to the vehicle anyways, and it's easier. There's not a double hinge; it's a single hinge. So the door
that I'll agree with right there, because
folds and closes once. Yeah. That's it.
And not having all those extra parts from the Falcon door is probably what they were going for, because the Falcon door just gets up and out of the way. It's a nice large opening. But the biggest thing I found with folks getting to the front seat of both the S and the X, but much more so the S, is a lot of the older limited mobility folks couldn't get the angle right, so they would just sit in the back seat. It was fine on the S, and on the X they just step in because it's a square. But like you said, it is not just really two hinges, but it's overall two hinges. But there's a lot of pieces in those doors, and if you can just make one opening that gets out of the way, one motion, one piece. The only thing I see here is in tight quarters it will be tougher to deal with, but they can deal with that with sensors and cameras. Probably just cameras, knowing Elon.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it in person to see this, but my thought is that if these were normal doors, if you open them to full size, I'm wondering if the butterfly door uses any more real estate really than a regular door if you were to open it regularly.
Yeah, more up, more out, more to the front. But if you're just on the street, it doesn't matter. But if you're in a tight area, it
well, would it matter on the street, especially a street like New York City?
It would, yeah.
Traveling.
Yeah. If you open it on the street side, that could mean you lose a door.
Yeah.
Especially since it's doing this. People are only looking for the door doing this. Yeah.
And of course, the other thing that we didn't get to see at the event, but we do get to see in these Tesla renders, is the enormous trunk that comes with the vehicle. So that's a huge plus for people that are traveling from the airport. Got some stuff to deliver with them. Certainly, this looks like an ample trunk space for a two-person, two-seater car. Definitely.
Yeah. So if they did a 2+2 or a 2+1, do you think they put somebody in the back, like station wagon style, like everybody's heads are in the same general area?
I think there would. I think the backward seating position outside of some small children, I don't think would happen.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm thinking of. You can't leave the small children and take 3 cabs if you got 5 kids.
That's right. Well, what you'll be doing, as we've seen also in the event, is that you'll be ordering a Model Y.
Right.
You know, you'll have the ability, most likely, on this app to be able to say, I'm traveling with 4 people, therefore I need a Y.
And the bus. I'll pay extra.
Yeah, exactly. Or the bus.
Right. So I want to touch on one thing. So before the event, we had discussed the idea of wireless charging. And I was kind of skeptical. Mark convinced me. So right on, Mark. You called that one well. And the reason I was skeptical is Tesla has a massive supercharger network that's already built out. And if they're going to go to wireless and they want that to be this to be their highest production vehicle, then they're going to have to rebuild the entire network. So now that they have said yes, they're going with this wireless induction charging system, I started thinking about how could they retrofit existing spots.
Yeah.
And if they've already got that parking spot dedicated to a supercharger, you could then put the coils embed them in that parking spot, connect to the same power that you already have coming because you're not putting in new transformers there for it. And then when you pull up there, if it detects a car, it's going to start charging with the wireless. And then if it doesn't detect a car, then you could use the supercharger. But there's no way that you can't, that spot is one or the other with a retrofit like that, is the way I'm thinking they would do it. That way they can add them to the spots they already have out there. They don't have to install whole separate systems.
Yeah, that's basically where I was going as well. This does require AC charging. You can't even on the high speed, you can't DC charge wirelessly.
Oh.
So I was thinking that
Interesting.
That they, if they sell these things privately, that they could ship an adapter very similar to the UMC, but it's really just like the J1772 adapter. They'd have to get it both watertight and easy to use, where you connect it up, toss it on the ground, and you can use the existing JNAX or J1772 to charge the car. One thing that was really cool we saw from the presentation, we didn't, but other folks who were at the presentation saw, this thing was charging at 19 kilowatts. We haven't seen that in a long time from Tesla. Like my car charges at 17 kilowatts, which was a step down from the Model S dual chargers, which could do 18 point something. And then if you bumped it up to 250 volts, which my house does sometimes, then you could get up to 20 kilowatts. Don't count on that. And I've done it a few times with their loaner cars, but instead of getting the retrofit for the dual chargers for my Model S, I use that money as the down payment on the Model X for the order fee. With the high amp charger, they don't do it anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gets rid of whatever Canada did, why we can't have higher than 48 volt charging anymore.
Are you blaming stuff on Canada again?
Something about your electrical code scared the crap out of them, and they just stopped doing higher than 48 volt charging.
Yeah, it's our fault. Absolutely.
They blamed it on you, so I'm going to continue blaming you.
Oh man. So we talked about the materials of the vehicle. We've talked about the doors, the tire sizes. What about the interior seat? We have almost a bench-like looking seat, although there is two separate seats. And it's more of a kind of a couch position, I'd say. It's more lean back than a regular seat, possibly than most of us are used to. Whether or not there was adjustments on the seat, I think I heard someone who was in a test drive that was adjusting the seat, but it doesn't look, when you just look from the outside of the vehicle, that there's a lot of room for adjustment. It just seems to be kind of laid back, right against that back wall that we saw where the trunk space begins, and it was there's no bolstering on the seats, so it's not holding you in the middle of the seat. Because, of course, it's expecting you to slide in and slide out. Even someone made the comparison that if they had to get out on the other side of the vehicle, it would be quite easy because the seat is basically flat all the way across both seats. And you could just slide out the other side if you needed to.
Yeah,
right. That makes sense. That depending on where you load and where you unload, that you might need to get out on a particular side. And without a center console and with that armrest that is there, just being able something you could fold up, it makes it easy to scooch on over. And then without the bolsters, not having bolsters also helps with that. And it also means if you're a more robust person, that the seat's going to be comfortable.
I saw a description today for some suspects. It said high calorie individuals. There's a message from Brian in the chat says wireless maxed out at 100 to 120. This year DOE demonstrated above 150, and then they went even higher than that with somebody like Volkswagen. Still maintaining the 90+% efficiency for the wireless. So this won't be that much of a step down, especially when you consider that it's also probably got an even smaller battery pack than the Model 3.
That's a good point.
It's a smaller car, yeah, and more aerodynamic.
Right. So when you're looking at charging it at miles per hour instead of just kilowatts, then a smaller, more efficient vehicle can still achieve a high rate of miles per hour, even if it's a lower rate of of charge.
That's a good point. I have thought about adjusting the seats in cars I got in, but only like if it was like a van cab, not a the regular Crown Vic or whatever. It's usually the back seat.
So, but I mean, Brian's point there. If you get in a cab or an Uber or whatever, it's a short ride. You're not like, oh man, I really need to change this. You're just going to be like, oh, this seat's okay. Could be a little better. And then you're going to get out of the car when you're done. I mean, it's versus this is your car and you're going to be spending hours in it every day. You're going to want it just dialed in, but that's not the case with the taxi.
But even better than that is if they do have adjustable seats and they're auto, and Tesla knows who you are, your cloud profile could just set that thing the way you like it anyway.
That would be nice. Yeah, that would be very nice.
But of course, it's going to be a different seat. So how does it get it exactly correct? Because you're used to the bolster, you're used to the, they could get the recline maybe, but it's going to feel different. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it right now between the current fleet. I do know people complain as they switch between cars, but not everybody's complaining that has more than one. The two loaners I had, the only thing that I found that was different, the mirrors were perfect. Everything else was good, except for some reason the second one, the seat was smashed against the steering wheel. And I don't know if that's because I didn't log out before they tried to clean it, or if they just had opposite calibrations, because it was my position, but on the steering wheel.
So what about the drives? We saw a number of people obviously got to drive in the CyberCab around fairly short rides, like they were, a minute to maybe 90 seconds. It wasn't much longer than that. But everyone didn't seem to have an issue just getting in on the screen, picking a drop-off site. The vehicle's doors would close either in unison or individually, depending on
what was that? What was that? You could close them on the screen, or as soon as you put your seatbelt on, it would buckle. Or as soon as your seatbelt buckled, they would close. And so if they were probably putting their seatbelts on together, and it was closing, or maybe it waits the second seatbelts and then it closes because it has the weight sensor on both seats as well.
Yeah,
that makes sense. You want it to be as automatic and easy as possible.
Best part is no part. You already got to buckle up. So click.
And the vehicles went on their way. They were in traffic, heavy traffic during the event. There were other CyberCabs. There were Model Ys. There were people on bicycles. There were obstacles. So the navigation was very well thought out. It seemed that the cars weren't going overly fast. They weren't going overly slow. They were kind of adjusting for what was actually happening outside of them. So that was good to see. And the vehicles got to the spot where they were dropping off people. The doors popped open, people slid out, and then a new group of people got in. So that seemed to be going on for hours during the event. And I didn't see of any or hear of any issues that anybody had with getting in and out of the vehicle. In fact, there was some film of people even stepping out into the road to interact with the cab. And of course, the cab stopped to let the person pass in front. So I don't think that was designed by Tesla. I ever think there was
just drunk party goers going, hey, I want to see that.
And we're going to try it out for themselves. So maybe that was Dan O'Donnell out there, but I didn't see it.
So I got a question now on construction.
No doubt.
This is the first Tesla that hasn't had a glass roof in a very long time. The last one we had was like the early Model S's. So the advantage and why they kind of pushed it to all their cars, even though they got rid of the sunroof, was it made manufacture easy. You can just dump stuff through the roof, what would be the roof, and then just put the glass on later. Is the savings of going metal cheaper than how much the glass would cost them, or does the roof get put on last? Brian mentioned that partition for the trunk could be structural, so maybe they don't need that rigidity early on in the construction process.
I would say that the issue with the bonus of getting a glass roof with every vehicle was that it was part of the build process, and if they were to turn around and do it with a metal roof, that would cause them to have to change the production line in a number of key ways that they decided it wasn't worth the cost. But if you design a brand new car, then you can work around all those things and design the line to handle a metal roof. And I think that will be the way this car, just like this car, I believe, will never see a glass roof. There will never be an option. So they're designing the production line based on their experience and what the future vehicle needs to do.
It does also mean that you lose a certain amount of headroom as well, because that was one thing they have always touted to us, is like, it would show us when the Model S had both. It's like, look at the one with the fixed roof or the sunroof, how much more room you get in the back seat. Yeah. And in the driver's seat than on the one with the fabric up there. And they're going to have to undo that marketing now.
Well, so we know that they're going to this new unboxed method, so they're making a lot of changes. And like Lee Moon says,
partially unboxed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so they're taking steps in that direction. And with the structural battery pack, and they have a lot of the seats and other things already mounted on that before it even goes in the vehicle to make it one simple step. So
they don't need that shortcut anymore?
Yeah, a lot of the things that used to have to come in through that big hole where the glass was going to be later now are being put in other ways.
So the painted metal is more cost savings than the giant piece of glass.
Exactly.
Or the repairs on such. It's probably lighter for sure. Because you think about how thin most cars' roofs are. They're super thin.
Right.
Exactly. So the other thing that was brought out during the conversation was that there was going to be the option of private ownership.
Yes.
Not only is Tesla going to produce some of these to run themselves, as we thought, but Tesla's going to allow people to buy these vehicles at $30,000 once they get to full capacity runs. It won't be $30,000 to start, I can guarantee that. But over time, once they get up to their amounts that they can build on the line, it'll get into that market. But Elon talked about owners being the herders of sheep flocks, being able to say, here's my 10 cyber cabs. I'm taking care of them, and I'll clean them. I'll make sure that they're ready to go and out on the streets when I need them to be.
So I wonder if they would only allow you to buy them if you're in an area that they're a market that they're serving.
Maybe.
Or what if you have like a company? Could you buy them even if you're not there? It's easy enough to get established there. But on that, like, why just California and Texas and not the places they already have licenses? California, Nevada, Arizona. And then the next question on that was, Mark had said, good point, that it's probably not going to be the actual price right away. But what are they going to add? Foundation series and an Internet for Life? I mean, anything else that they add, it shouldn't have any options, right?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any options. I think there's just going to be...
They're going to charge more.
That's right. I think this is just going to be a flat rate price, and it's going to be this. And until we get up to the production we need, price will be X. And a little bit down the line, price will be Y. And a little further down the line, price will be Z. So I think it's over time. It's just going to change based on how many they can punch out and what their costs are.
Yeah. Then what do you guys think about locations?
I'm surprised we didn't see a demo of the app.
Yeah, that too. It looked like they were only running the internal app. Like there was a guy with a tablet each time. Even for Elon, there was like a guy with a tablet.
Yeah. So it's questionable, but it is again interesting things that are going on. At least the privatization was brought out that yes, we will sell them to private owners if they wish. So. And then I also noticed that during the conversation, Elon had said, well, this is where we're going. We're going to get them into the market in Texas and California to start. But first, we're going to allow our full FSD to be able, the unsupervised FSD, to run in those markets too. Those will be the first to actually breach that. So SX, 3s and Ys, Cybertrucks are going to be able to do this as well. Although, as people were shouting out, which they do at these events, questions as Elon's going through things, somebody said, we'll work with hardware 3. And Elon didn't answer the question. He said, well, let's not get into nuances. Let's just leave that for now. But he did talk about hardware 4. And that, of course, prompted the question, what about hardware 3? And it was like, okay, well, let's not get into nuances.
If you guys saw my legacy reaction there, as he said it, he very craftily worded his sentence very specifically, all cars we currently make today. And I was like, oh, welcome to the club, boys.
Yep. Could be that there's another cut in the vehicles that will operate with unsupervised FSD maybe going forward.
They all start shipping with the front camera that they've been taken out of the renders. Yeah. Then we'll know what's going on.
Yeah, because there is a front camera with this car, with this CyberCab. So
yeah, we'll see that probably in January if that's what they did.
Exactly. So
or on Juniper, even if we don't see it on any other car, it'll definitely be on Juniper to match up with Cybertruck if that's a requirement.
Well, that covers about all we need to know about.
Wait. So why not Arizona and Nevada, where they already have licenses instead of?
Because Texas? You can't start in 12 markets, Casey. You got to start with 1 or 2.
Why? Why start in a market that you're not already in?
Because headquarters is in Texas, and California has always been their headquarters until recently. So they probably couldn't ignore that.
Yeah, they probably start California even before Texas because they've already got the license.
Yeah. So the next
thing that I found interesting at the event, we can't skip Optimus. We have to at least talk a little bit about Optimus.
Hey, it's in the notes, man. We're getting there.
I don't. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I thought you were about to leave the
we're going to
10
talk
event.
about the RoboVan.
RoboVan?
Yeah.
RoboVan.
RoboBus is this actual
RoboVan shows
name.
up at the side. And again, interesting design. That Art Deco 1930s, 1940s look of a Art Deco train. Very connected to what Elon was after here. And of course said that, yes, that's what I was pulling some inspiration from, were these Art Deco trains that used to be on the rails. But this vehicle seats 14 in the model that we saw. All seats faced each other. There was an open space in the middle. Looked like 2 sets of doors, although we only said 1 set opened.
Right.
And then you've got this row of windows down the roof line on both sides. You've got monitors that are placed on the inside, at eye height at each end of the vehicle, so the nose and the tail. And we saw later on with some photos that there was storage space for a frunk and a trunk for luggage.
And the frunk is bigger than the trunk.
Yeah. In the picture.
I was actually surprised it's not symmetrical, so that they could just drive either direction depending on what's needed.
Yeah.
I mean, they can swap, like electronically, just swap the color of the lights like all the other bread boxes.
Exactly.
Does it need a front?
There were a lot of comments about how low and sleek it was to the road. And of course, we got information through the week indicating that there's an air suspension system and the vehicle adjusts based on road conditions. And of course, whether it needs to kneel and let people out or if it's coming up against a curb that it may need to equal or go over. So the vehicle has these options built into it, which makes sense. Again, a completely autonomous vehicle. No mirrors, as there's no mirrors in the CyberCab either. No external mirrors. So obviously, they're going to be relying on cameras. But
that would be
interesting vehicle. They said up to 20 would fit in it, although the example we saw only had 14 people in it. Leaves room possibly that maybe people stand in the middle in between the 2 rows of seats, possibly.
With no handholds.
No handholds above, but those could be added later, I can imagine.
I'm hoping that it's just like the other vans where there's just, this is the medium one and this is what we expect to sell the most of. And then there's a long one. Yeah.
Very interesting interior. Lots of neon, lots of recessed lighting, white seats. Actually, I can probably show a picture. I think we've got a few that we could share here. It was a pretty impressive looking vehicle. And
they didn't say if these would be sold to the public.
No.
did they?
No,
They
they
did
didn't.
mention cargo, but they did not say if they would be for sale.
Right, because
Robert-
how many people would want to convert one of these to a travel van or something? Yeah, throw a bed in there and some
Toilet,
yeah,
shower,
yeah,
a fridge.
yeah, exactly.
RC Robinson has a point that the battery prices have been dropping like a rock since 2008. So this will also help make these things more affordable.
Absolutely.
You can see the rows of windows along the rails at the top. You can see into the vehicle. And you've got this Star Trek sliding door that opens from both sides as people are getting out of the vehicle during the event. And there's a shot of the screen in the back and the neon mood lighting that's in the vehicle.
Yep. It's very airy. Like it looks dark from the outside, but from the inside, you can see a good little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting. Again, love the design. The Art Deco certainly worked for it. Here's a shot of the frunk.
Also gold.
Yep. Another gold vehicle. Didn't look like a lot of space in the trunk. Just a couple of bags, apparently. I can't even see anything behind them, although there could be some space. But certainly, as Casey mentioned, the frunk looks a little bit more spacious.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird. If I would be worried that if it stops somewhere that someone else is going to grab my bag. Maybe I'm just paranoid, but like at the airport shuttles, there's a luggage rack in the shuttle right there where you sit.
Right. Well, I'm sure a carry-on would be in that case, Patrick, but also a normal bus that has those big under the bus storage areas. Same problem there.
Well, usually there you have the bus driver is the one that opens that and is passing out the luggage. So you have somebody there.
Who's to say that there isn't somebody at the stop?
The elevator operator?
That's an interesting idea. Especially if they're going to be doing, you mentioned earlier, if you need more than two people, you can call a 3 or a Y or S or X. But how are those going to automatically charge? They can't just roll up. You're going to have attendants at the supercharger stations for the robo fleet, for the cyber fleet, the taxi fleet. I don't know. That's. I'm just going to say taxi fleet because I don't know what you want to call it. But those are going to have somebody to plug them in, unless they get Snaky working or Optimus out there.
Yeah.
Or like on the Cybertruck, they might retrofit it.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I mean, they don't like to do it. Doesn't mean they can't do them.
So make a robo taxi version of the 3 and Y or S and X and or.
Well, you bet they can charge you. Like, say you cost them $400 in parts, they charge you $1,000. Done.
Yeah.
Well, that whatever labor, so $2,000. They charge you $2,000 because it cost them $400 and labor.
Yeah, it has to. It's possible. I'm just thinking it's not easy. You've not got a lot of ground clearance, and what do you have to put in there, and where does it connect to? And
and then the other question: what do you do about the transition cars? Because they're still going to be selling SX and Cybertruck, and then 3 and Y don't have air suspension today. So all the legacy fleet and all the new ones, they can do this, but
to get to the right height. So and unless it's just not quite as efficient, or maybe you get the movement to happen on the other side. That's more complicated.
Way more complicated because look at all the lots they've leased versus a pad.
Right.
Yeah. Unless there's a 3 and Y specific one.
Well, we're running out of time, so on to the next topic. Patrick wanted to make sure we didn't miss Mr. Optimus, who's no longer apparently subprime.
Yes. So you talked about how what have we learned since the event, and I saw a lot of negative headlines about how they were teleoperated and how horrible that was, and it was a big lie. And I was just like, okay, it was not a big lie. There's video of them telling people that at the event. And so the other factors right now, there are a lot of things the AI still has to learn how to do.
Yeah.
So what's the best way to teach it to do that? You have a human teleoperating it. All of that input becomes training data for the AI to learn how to do these things, how to react in those environments. And over time, you need less and less teleoperation as it gets smarter and learns more. So it seems like exactly the right way for this to be handled. And yet the media was all just the opposite. It's like, okay, you guys don't really understand.
Right. They also missed the fact that people were comfortable letting these multi-100-pound robots interact with the public without a tether. And in fact, one did fall. Like, it caught somebody's handbag and fell, and nobody was harmed that we know of. So,
oh, I didn't know one of them fell over. But so that's an exact. I'm sure that's going to go into some training model for the next one. Okay, what happens if you get stuck on a handbag or a rope or something else, and how do you keep your balance and not fall over?
How do you fall without hurting somebody?
Right.
Or yourself, if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the operation by humans in the background made a lot of sense to this particular event because, of course, was it just 3 years ago? Optimus Subprime was an actor dressed up in a suit. So we've come a long way. Obviously,
absolutely.
These humanoid robots are now operating on some of their own level. They're walking by themselves, they're balancing, and then now we've got them dancing, serving drinks, and handing out gifts. Obviously there has been a huge jump in their capability, and you can't have it completely all there in 3 years. Like, there's just no way so they've been choosing different things that they can work on. At the event, these particular robots, for example, had 11-point movement in their hands, but they also showed a hand that now has 22-point movement and is extremely close to the operation of a human hand. So they are working on these different aspects of the robots, but of course, you have a limited amount of engineers, you have a limited amount of time, and what you're doing is you're sourcing, or I'm sorry, you're pointing those engineers to work on specific issues to push the whole program forward. And some of the things are just not in the cards to get done in the fashion that maybe we would like to see just on the outside, being consumers.
Yeah, to me, it appeared that the only things that might have been like remote would have been like the interaction with the people, the waving and the talking, and the everything else looked like something.
Well, playing charades, playing rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
You know, I could see that those were run by the human operators for sure.
Yeah, but the walking was very clearly the same walking they showed us before, but even better.
Yep.
And that's easy enough. You could say walk from here to there. And have it go.
Mm-hmm.
So
Moto. I see Moto.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was quite an event.
Yes.
Wall Street didn't quite understand it, as we saw by the drop by 9% after the event. But I will say that Wall Street does have some sort of a point, because there were no timelines. There was no actual product that was given a specific timeline. Besides, we will have things running by the end of 2027, before 2027. And we will start with Texas and California with FSD unsupervised.
But the presenter was Elon. Would we have believed any number he said off of any timepiece in the world?
Right. Even if he gave an exact date.
When you give no timelines, that might be even worse to people, because there is nothing even to look back upon.
Yeah, but at least now they can't clown his butt for being 10 years wrong.
Right. It was smart of him not to say date. But one of the other things I think, well, okay, we said it before the event that after every one of these AI day and other things, battery day, the stock drops because there are people that buy on the hype, sell on the news, and it's kind of a typical cycle. So it did exactly
Yeah.
what we expected. But then the other thing I think that kind of disappointed Wall Street was most of these other vehicle unveil events, maybe all of them, you could order that vehicle. Like reservations are open now. Even if Cybertruck, I don't know how long it took from the event to the deliveries, but even then you could still order it. Yeah. And even the Roadster, which isn't even out yet, they're still they took orders. They have orders on the books, and sometimes in some cases holding a significant deposit. So yeah, the fact that you couldn't order anything, they were showing off RoboVan, CyberCab, and Optimus, but I take my money. No, sorry.
I think that's probably something that Tesla has learned over a number of events, is that we don't want the burden of having people's money and the years keep ticking on by. I think that's bad press for them. But there's also
like an escrow. They can't even use it to invest.
The pendulum swings both ways. Like you go too far one way, you can go too far the other way. Yes. So it's this balancing a tightrope for investors, for Wall Street to be on side with you that Tesla has issues with, because they're not, they're not just a car company. They're obviously a computer and software company. They're an energy company. They're a battery company. There's many things that they are, not just a traditional automaker. And of course, Wall Street seems to have horse blinders on as to what they are or what they believe they are at this particular time.
I mean, the only time that Wall Street's ever been on their side is when they either have some just blowout numbers that none of the analyst consensus had picked, or they fire a bunch of people, which just works at every company. Oh, look, a 10% headcount. Yeah, stock go up.
Sad but true.
Yeah,
there's no winning with them.
But as an overall event, as obviously a fan of what the company does, I think we all enjoyed it. It was a lot of eye candy to watch. It was a lot of information to take in. And this week we've gotten more details, not all the details, but because of course they always tease us with things and don't actually tell us at all, because they want to leak it into the media slowly over a period of time in order to build hype, to have something to talk about next week, next year, next month. It's this slow release as they're getting closer. But I thought it was a fantastic event to watch, and it was well produced. There was a lot of video. There was a lot of camera angles. I love that they were able to continue to show it after Elon had stopped speaking, because there were so many things going on that it was a great watch to see how these things actually performed, and how people were interacting with not only the cabs, but the bus, and of course the Optimus. So I enjoyed it. How about you guys?
Definitely. Yeah, I do think that the ensemble was probably just because they were also streaming it to the stores. It'd be a little weird if you're partying and then they shut it off. Go home, get out.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Hopefully they'll do more of it. That was a nice touch. We were able to kind of talk about it while it was flashing in the background.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I did tell you guys I got invited to go to the local Tesla spot and watch it with Dan. And I was like, no, I want to hang out with you guys. This is the fun place to be, right here.
Well, I think we'll do a wrap. That's been an hour, guys. Nice. I'm sure we could have talked about 3 hours on this, but it was extremely interesting to watch this, and it was fun to take it all in and learn over the period the next week. Yeah, so we got 3 copyright strikes on background music because it just surprised us with the music that came through.
Yeah, they threatened to take all of our money, but since we don't get any ad money anyway, let them have it.
we just said, go ahead, take it.
You can
Somebody
have all
can pay
0 of it.
But yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on this video and press that subscribe button. Casey, any shoutouts?
Yeah, Wednesday already. So coming up on Friday, we've got the Tesla Life Express Part 1. And then on Sunday, you've got me. Let's chat with Casey and friends over at youtube.com/Casey Green. And then come back here Monday for the Tesla Life Express Part 2. And then we'll catch you back here in 1 week at the same time, same place for the Tesla Life Live.
Very good, Patrick.
Hello. For once, I don't have an article that is in the queue, in the hopper, ready to come out at Cars with Cords. I don't know what I'm going to write next. So I don't have one to plug because I'm not even sure what it's going to be. I know that we have had our What's Tesla's annual production game going, and we're getting near the end of the year. So that's coming. And it's not looking promising for 2 million. I thought for sure 2 million would be in the bag for this year. And sad that it's not going to happen again. Damn it.
I get why not.
Yeah. So as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net about my future free from fossil fuels. Thank you.
Exactly. Thanks, everyone. Thumbs up, and we'll talk to you next time and find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive. Test negative.